everybody, and welcome back to the Rams Review Podcast. The season is over. The playoffs are finished. Spygate is over. Everybody's moving on. Derby County have a new kit. But more importantly, we're moving on to the greatest show on earth. That is the World Cup. It's coming to North America, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And there's only one person we wanted to get on this show, friend of the podcast, former Derby County player, former Newcastle player, and former England player. And he's doing domestic broadcasting for the World Cup in America. That's Warren Barton. Warren, welcome back to the podcast. How the heck are you?
I'm very well, my friend. Yeah, I'm all good. I'm getting excited now with the World Cup only a couple of weeks away. Looking forward to it. It's been a big build-up, a lot of excitement. And just a lot of traveling from going up to Canada, to Mexico, to the US. But it should be a wonderful show. There's one thing that they know in America is to put a show on. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
If you need a bag man, Warren, someone to carry your bags, just let me know. I'm available anytime.
Okay.
You just give me a call.
I'll bear that in mind.
Appreciate that. Warren, let's go with the big news of the day, the England squad announcement. Thomas Tuchel picked his 26-man team. No Cole Palmer, no Phil Foden, no Morgan Gibbs-White, no Harry Maguire. The second striker role is going to be Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney. There's no Calvert-Lewin. Dom Solanke was injured. What do you make of the England squad as a whole? And are there any surprises in there for you? And are there any glaring omissions?
I think you said it there. He's assembled a team. What he feels like with, say for a question, Liver Teramento, who plays for Newcastle, obviously, he's versatile. He can play right back, left back. And I think he's looking at options that he's gone. But Henderson, obviously an older player playing at Brentford, but he's got experience because you've got young players, the guy from, Manchester United coming in. So you've got young players as well as experienced players. Obviously, you think of Foden, you think of Palmer, but I can see a reason why they've been left out. I do think there's an X factor there. I do think they can change a game. Gibbs-White has had a good end to the season coming along. But I think Thomas Tuchel, like a lot of coaches when they go into a major tournament, want to be with a player they can trust, want to be with someone that doesn't give the ball away or not going to maybe make too many mistakes in the area. But that's what you get with gifted players. They are going to make mistakes. They are going to give the ball away, but they can open a door. I think he's looked at the tournament and said, I can rely on these players. I can maybe take a chance with a Rashford. Is he in the right frame of mind? If he is, but Barcelona, he seems very, very happy. He's an X factor. He's a difference maker as well. And Ivan Toney, who's someone that probably wasn't on the radar, and probably looking at other players, Calvert-Lewin, thinking, well, he's scored a few goals for Leeds. Will he be able to get in? But from his point of view as a coach, I can see why they've been left out. I can see why maybe Harry Maguire hasn't been in there. Trent Alexander hasn't been in there. I can see the reason, but I can also say, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they was in there. But I think he's looked for a team that's versatile, that's going to knit together, that's going to play different systems. And as I said, he's got a sprinkling of experience. The goalkeeper's obviously vast experience. Henderson, I said, and your main man up front, Harry Kane is going to lead the line. That's our biggest concern with him. But he sort of said, well, Ollie Watkins scored goals in the Euro, and Ivan Toney, as I said, has scored goals on a regular basis. So, yes, that may be that little bit of X factor, but I don't think he plays like that. He plays with pace. He plays with power. He's not someone that's going to be pedestrian with a ball, keep hold of the ball. Maybe with the weather, but as well as I do, it's not going to be as hot as it would do in July and August. Yes, it's going to be hot, but a lot of the stadiums are going to have a roof and stuff like that. So it's not going to be how it was in '94 when it's glaringly hot and the roof's all open and things like that. And the players are going to be a lot more prepared with the medical staff as well. So, yes, it's thrown a few question marks. But I think he can answer them question marks by saying, well, Foden's not played regular and X, Y, Z. So, I think that's where he's looked at it and probably feels like that's a better group of players to be together.
Yeah, that's what I look like too as well, Warren. And I think it's something that England's not had sometimes for a few years going into tournaments is, when you think back Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard days, it was like, well, we just have to pick them because they're good players. And then we'll figure it out when we get there. And I think teams that have success, they have roles. For instance, Ivan Toney, I look at his role as he is only going to play if they need a penalty because he is very good. He's deadly at penalties. And you might say that's a waste of a squad player, but when you're in a quarterfinal against Colombia and it goes to penalties, Ivan
Yeah,
Toney's gonna.
and also the physical presence. He's a bit different than maybe Ollie Watkins running in behind. So yeah, I get that. Like you said, he's got a use to come on and maybe change a game with the physical side, but obviously with penalties, if it hopefully it doesn't go to penalties with England. So we'll be looking at that. But as I said, with Gordon, he's gone with pace. Saka's just come back, and he looks like he's nice and fresh. And Jude Bellingham and Morgan. There's lots of talented players, and I've had a look on social media. You've picked another three teams actually were the ones that have been left out. Trent Alexander is playing for Real Madrid. But is he playing as what he can just with James at right back or Tino Livramento, who I said where can be a little bit more versatile.
Yeah, it looks a very well balanced squad, and we're gonna. So Warren, we've run through the England squad. We've run through basically Thomas Tuchel has picked a squad, not a team, a squad of players that he trusts to go forward. Since we last spoke, Anthony Gordon has subsequently moved to Barcelona from Newcastle because you mentioned him as a Newcastle player. So just update, he moved this afternoon to Barcelona. Thoughts for 10 seconds, Anthony Gordon to Barcelona?
Yeah, what an agent he's got, by the way. Listen, good luck to him. I think it's a win-win for everybody. Yes, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I think Barcelona have inherited a player, but he's had one or two injuries at Newcastle. Newcastle, it's a win because they've got a lot of money for a player that was linked with Liverpool not too long ago. And when a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona team come along, it's very, very difficult to stop a player leaving to go to there. And for him personally, like his dad said, it's a dream come true for a kid that was in Everton's academy, reserve team, first team, to now be playing at Barcelona in that wonderful stadium, in that wonderful kit, playing with some phenomenal players. Newcastle can wish him well. He did a nice message to all the fans. But, like anything, any club, we move on. We've got our money. We're going to reinvest that. We've got a lot of players that can play in that position. He done a great job for us while he was there. We've done some good business. Ross Wilson has started off the summer transfer very, very well, selling a player like Gordon to Barcelona for a lot of money with add-ons as well. So good luck to him, and hopefully he has a good World Cup for England, and he can enjoy Barcelona in the summer.
And it is important to get that business done early for Newcastle as well, because Anthony Gordon's going to be away for as much up to 6 weeks potentially at the World Cup, 6-7 weeks. So to get that money, to start planning, to know that's in the thing, good business all around. Warren, when we look at the World Cup, it's been expanded to 48 teams. Good idea or bad idea to expand it? Because I think there's arguments to be made for both. Where do you sit on the fence for this?
I love the idea. I think it's this game is reaching all corners of the world. Uzbekistan is one of my games that I've got. Obviously done a lot of research on that, pronunciations, etc. But I do like it. I do like it. I think it is a global game now. I understand we've seen it in domestic with the Champions League in Europe. And for the world, for a nation like Haiti, all the problems that they have in their home nation, for them 3 weeks, 2 weeks that they're playing, it may bring the country together. So as I said, I'm a big fan of it. I do like it. I skeptical at the beginning, but when I look into it and look at the storylines that we've got, look at the nations that are coming along, and also spread over 3 massive countries as well. There's going to be soccer for everybody to view. So, yeah, I'm a thumbs up for it. I like it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's just, yeah.
The only thing is, can I just say, how then do Italy don't qualify? I mean, that is something that...
leave it to Italy to figure out a way to not qualify.
They can figure it out. And it's not the first time. This is their 3rd World Cup they've not qualified. I thought I'd just get that in with the Italians because they beat us in the Euros. So take that.
And for those listening, Warren is not making a hand gesture or anything like that. No.
I don't do that. I'm not doing the hands together. I'm not. No. I'm an Englishman.
Warren, when you look at the World Cup and it's going to be geographically dispersed, I think sometimes the travel might kick in going west to east. You know how difficult it is to go west to east. and you see the traveling, they've got different pots, but as they get later in the tournaments, those things kind of change. When you look at the tournament as a whole, what are your kind of keys to success? Deep squad, good team camaraderie, probably half decent players helps as well. What are your real keys to get deep in this tournament if you're not one of the favorites?
No, I think consistency. I think if you can be consistent with the group of players that you've got, I think you have to have good spirit because, like you said, traveling, you're not like in Qatar, it was so easy. It was like going, you know, a mile, 10 miles up the road, back again. Everyone's had their base. No one was moving. You didn't have to get in any planes, luggage. So it was so simple, so easy. 10, 15 minutes, you was at your training facilities. This is another level. You're going to have your base, but then you're going to fly off, come back. Like you've said, the travel that you've got. Say for England, first game's in Dallas, then up to Boston, down the East Coast, and then they're looking around where the next one is. So that's going to be 3 hours from Dallas to Boston, and a time difference as well. So, but they are going to travel well. I think it's being durable as well. And people like Henderson have said, like, why is he, in the England setup? It's to keep the camaraderie going, to let people know that this is a World Cup, that you are there for 6 weeks. Roy Keane says, well, what's he going to do? Tell jokes and play cards? He might have to keep everybody lighthearted and keep everybody together and have fun and enjoy themselves, because it's a long time. And I've been on trips when you're away, and it's a grind. So you have to have someone that's been there, seen it and done it, to break the ice, to have new ideas, to play maybe a little bit of pitch and putt golf, and then maybe some table tennis, and then maybe we do a quiz night, just to keep everybody on their toes. And also you've got to rest at the right time. Then you've got to be prepared. And it might be that we've done well, England against Panama. Declan Rice, you have a rest. Jordan, you're going to be reliable. Go and play. Don't do a foot wrong. Let him have 90 minutes. Harry Kane, have a rest. We put Ivan Toney up front. Let him go out there and score a couple of goals. You have a rest. So you need a squad of players. But I definitely think it's that consistency. And when I look at Thomas Tuchel's team, it's a consistent team that there's no real frills or spills. There's an out-and-out goal scorer, Harry Kane. So hopefully he stays well. And any team that's done well in any World Cup have always had someone that's got 5, 6, 7 goals. Harry Kane's got 61 this season. So we've got a great opportunity. Defensively, we've got a nice mixture. But with the travelling, with the heat, it's just being prepared and being durable as well, because it's a grind. And the big nations, Portugal and obviously Spain and France are the favourites, but England, Brazil, Argentina, they're looking to be away for 5 or 6 weeks. So you've got to be mentally strong as well to keep, because it's a grind as well. Like you said, there's more games, more travel, more expectations. So, from that point of view, you've got to make sure conditioning is good as well.
And from a Derby County perspective, Warren, there are 2 players going to the World Cup for Derby. That's goalkeeper Jacob Zetterstrom for Sweden and center half Sondre Langas at Norway. To be determined whether they see any time on the field, but let's just say that they don't and they're just in the squads. It's still one, great experience to be picked for your country in a World Cup. 2, fantastic for the player because they're going to play different oppositions, see different tactics and things like that. And it's fantastic for a football club like Derby County because their players are going to go to a world stage. Maybe they do well and they either get a player that comes back a better player for it, or they come back and the profile has been raised and potentially sell those on later on. I mean, it's a win-win-win for everybody, isn't it, when you have your players involved?
Any team that's in the championship that's got players that are, playing in a World Cup roster, that's a great achievement to do that. Ideally, you want to be playing, you want some minutes, and both of them nations know that they've got a chance. They've got a chance. I wouldn't say they're favourites, but they've got chances to progress in this tournament, and maybe by the second or third game, they can maybe rotate some players, and that gives them a chance. And it's great for Derby. As I said, it's a great football club, great people that get behind the team. It was a strange time for me when I was there. It's a difficult time financially for everybody, falling out the Premier League, but I loved it. A very, very good football club, and that gives it a little bit of status and kudos for the players and for the club as well. So, I would imagine all the players that are back home doing pre-season, getting ready. Hopefully these teams are still out in America, getting ready for the World Cup, getting ready for the next game. We'll be cheering them on, and it's a great profile for Derby.
So, Warren, we're going to talk about favorites in a minute. Who are your real dark horses for this tournament? Because there's way more options now than what there normally are. Yeah. And there's always a team, like in the last World Cup in Qatar, Morocco kind of went to the semifinals. several in South Africa. I believe it was Senegal got to the quarterfinals, I believe, and Suarez punched it off the line to get sent off and whatever. Who are your real dark horses for this tournament? Who do you think can go in, cause some issues, and make a run? Not necessarily to the final, but quarterfinal, semifinal, an unexpected team that we should be looking out for.
Yeah, I think the punch was against Ghana, but I'm just using my soccer
Ghana,
brain
not
there.
Senegal. You're right.
Ghana,
you're right. You got me on that one.
So Colombia, I like Colombia. You know, they have a game which I'm doing in Mexico City. Now, would you call them a dark horse to go through? But yeah, I think they're a dangerous team. Ecuador, I think, are a really good team as well. Senegal, you spoke about how successful they was in their 2002, was it World Cup, or one of them World Cups where they was really a bit of an unknown team to go forward. So yeah, they're the three teams that I would look at. And you never write the Germans off. You know, we've said in the past, Nagelsmann's, I like him as a coach. I think he's got a nice blend of experience, obviously with Neuer, but also he's got some young players. And the spotlight's not on them. You know, they've got a tough group. That was the only thing I would think that the group is pretty tough. And then you look at, say, England, Portugal, Brazil, possibly, and Argentina. And then I think you've got the out-and-out favourites that we'll speak about later on. But if you're looking at someone that can have a good run, you know, as I said, with Ecuador, a little bit of the unknown because they're so strong. They qualified pretty comfortably. Colombia is another one. As I said, South America, I think because of the heat, they'll be quite comfortable with that. They're not too concerned about it. But if you're looking at, you know, as I said, someone else, one of the African nations would be great for the likes of Senegal. And then, as I said, a German team with them, with what they've got, just to grind. Because you have that extra game, that extra chance, that extra opportunity, any team that gets a little bit of confidence could go out and motor. The thing would be goals. Where they're going to get their goals from Germany. But they've got players that can chip in 2, 3, 4 goals here and there.
Are there any teams, Warren, in your mind that have been hyped up to do well that maybe might fall a bit flat? I know England maybe, but you know, in the past it's been Belgium, right? The golden generation of Belgium, the golden generation, and they always kind of fall flat. The Dutch are kind of always there, but not there. Is there a team, maybe England, that are a little bit overhyped that you think people are backing the wrong horse here, and then you're looking at it and you're like, I just don't see it?
I'm going to go out on a limb here. Depending with Portugal, depending what happens, how they handle Ronaldo, how the situation was. We see glimpses of that in Qatar, where he was in, he was out, putting people in. Roberto Martinez has to manage that, and I think he's done it already by saying he's playing and the others have all got to fit around that. That's a pretty bold statement when you look at the other players in the Portugal team that are sort of saying, well, he's on another pedestal, which he is, but you lot have got to run around and give him the ball. So that could explode. I remember France, when they had that going on, they sort of self-exploded there. And you don't know with, as I said, with the French, Didier Deschamps, this is his last one. Mbappe's had question marks. I hope they don't, because I think France are my favourites. I think once they've been there, you know, runners up, won it. I think that gives them extra confidence. But you could see one or two people getting discontent there as well, because they've got so much ability, got so many good players. If one or two gets left out, how do they react? And they obviously know that he's not going to be around for the Euros coming along. So I hope it doesn't. I hope we get a tournament where everybody's firing on all cylinders, everybody's playing well. We're going to be hard to beat the final that we had last time, because I don't think that's ever going to happen when you have two teams like that going toe-to-toe. It was a brilliant final, arguably the best that's ever been. But it's America, and as I said, special things happen over here, so it'd be interesting to see. But as you said, there's so many different quirks and interpretations and a little bit the unknown. I mean, some of these teams are riding high. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, you don't know who's going to go along with Jordan and Algeria or the Aussies. And, you know, Turkey's a good team. I look at Turkey and they squeaked in through the back door. So, you know, let's go out there and play. But I think if anyone can have a little hiccup, it could be the teams I mentioned.
What about, Warren, I'm just throwing this out here. It's the America's 250th birthday. uh, co-host of the tournament, right? Red, white, and blue, July 4th extravaganza. Where's America going in this tournament? Is this a reason? Is this the time that soccer in this country, football everywhere else, takes off and America makes a run and gets to the semifinals? Where do you see America going in this tournament?
I could say at least quarterfinals. I think they really have. I think with Pochettino and the players, the roster that he selected, have got the depth and talent. I mean, Mexico as well. I'm doing their game against Australia at the weekend, and I've had a look at Mexico's depth and quality. I mean, don't write them off as well. But I think with America, with the players, the thing is, when I look at Mexico, and because of how soccer is looked in Mexico, it's how they handle the pressure of being the home nation in Mexico, because that can suffocate some of their players. I think in America, we've still got that lovely balance of pressure but enthusiasm. And I think that's what this team can ride on a little bit. If they get off to a good start in their first game, which hopefully that happens, that they can do well. And I said, you've got that added balance of, an extra game and an extra chance of qualifying. It's not like so cutthroat, top two, that's it. You win one and draw a game, you've probably got a chance of qualifying for the next. So, that point of view, I think they will go for it. As I said, I'm expecting them, and it's not pressure. I just think with the players they've got, manager they've got, how they prepared, and particularly in the last, months of getting prepared and the players where they're playing, I think a quarterfinal and then semi-final would be out of this world. I think it would be 250 years, you may even make it 500 years, because it'd be such a wonderful occasion. And I don't know whether anyone's seen it, but I would recommend it to see it, about the 94 group of players, what they went through, which is totally different to what this group of players, being stuck in a place for 3.5 years, having a tryout every single day. That's how these players got to a World Cup in 94, and they beat Colombia, who was one of the favourites. Eric Ronaldo, my good friend, got the goal against Switzerland. So just a brilliant, brilliant story. And that's a contrast of what we see now with Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, all these players, what the boys of 94 had to go through, Tony Meola and Lexi Lalas and people like that. I keep winding Lexi up. I'm saying it's 250 years when you said goodbye to us, and we're coming back. And we're not only going to come back, we're going to lift the trophy on your soul. I think that would be the end of Lexi. I think our friendship would end after that. But I pulled his leg about that a number of times. I don't think he's sleeping too well. But I think the US have got a really good chance. But I do like Mexico. It's just if they can handle that pressure, like England, like all the bigger nations that they have, where the Americans are still having that freedom of playing with. If you make mistakes, not so bad. It's not like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's like, come on, you can do. And I think they need that, this group of players. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. And the evolution, like you said, from that group of 94 to this group now, between the two World Cups, the growth of football, soccer in this country.
Can I just say, this group is far better looking as well. The 94 group is probably the ugliest American team I've seen. When you put Meola in there.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, Alexi Lalas, the long hair and the beard.
Look at the two centre halves as well. You got Balboa. He ain't exactly good looking. Put him in there. Eric's probably the best of the bad bunch. So, yeah, out of that lot. Tad Ramos is not a looker.
I am pleased Alexi Lalas shaved his beard and hair, though. He looks a lot more presentable now than when he was a wild man.
Can I just say, he's losing it. That's why he's losing it.
So, Warren, let's talk about the favorites. Obviously, in England, it's England. In France, it's France. In Spain, it's Spain. In every country, it's that country that's qualified. I'm struggling, really. I've thought about this. I'm really struggling to see past France, and I'm struggling to see past Spain. I kind of agree with you with Portugal. I think sometimes the mentality of Portugal could let them down late on, how they play through Ronaldo, how those dynamics work. Might be a little strange. Belgium always have some weird issues. Are you seeing anybody else other than France and Spain coming up to the final? I mean, Spain have been dominating European football now for a couple of years. They arguably have the best young player in the world in Lamine Yamal. Whether he's fully fit or not is another choice. Whether Nico Williams on the other side is fully fit and firing is another choice. But France come in as well, equally stacked, equally loaded with high-class talent. Michael Olise's had a season for the ages. Mbappe hasn't really hit the heights Real Madrid this season, but will be motivated to do well in the World Cup. They have an experienced coach. They have depth. Is there anybody else, or should I just go ahead and put my money on it now that's the final?
I think the sensible money would be them too. You've said it there, the depth that they've got. You know, we're not so some of the nations you go 14, 15, 16 deep, and then the others are like, hopefully you don't have to use them. With all due respect, they're good players, but not at the level. But you look at what France has maybe left out of players that have chosen another nation rather than playing. It could play for France, but they're playing for another nation that they could have had because they didn't feel like they'd get a chance to play. And Spain have got their own identity, their own way of playing. It's crazy that you think there's no Real Madrid player in there. I couldn't when that come out and you looked at it, I thought, I understand why, because they haven't been playing regular, haven't been playing. Carvajal's, coming later on in his career. I thought he might go along like a Henderson, but they obviously felt different with that. But yeah, the sensible money is them too. When I think of a World Cup, I always think of Brazil and Neymar coming back, Ancelotti as the coach. That as a fairy tale story to me as well. And if I had a little bit extra money, I might just throw something on them because they've come into this country before and won it in '94. Obviously, went to penalties, but I just feel with him, Neymar, and with Ancelotti, how Vinny Junior loves him, loves playing for him, loves being around him. Defensively, I'm okay. Midfield, okay. If the front four can get going, or front five, they can cause you problems. Again, they're a team that would probably benefit from having more games because they get more confident. The more the games they play, they get more confident. They get into a rhythm. And if that happens and they all of a sudden start clicking around the 32, around the 6, then they're up and running. So that would be one. If, as I said, the sensible money would be on them. I just think with Argentina, they've all aged. They've all got a little bit older. And they've still got him, and he's still the best player that's ever. Well, he's not from this planet, but he's the best player that's ever played the game. They've got a chance, but I like Brazil because, as I said, maybe it's sentimental. When I think about a World Cup, I think of them. I like Ancelotti, I like Neymar. I'd love for him to have a really good World Cup because he's not everybody's cup of tea, and he's had injuries, but he's a hell of a player. He's apart from Ronaldo and Messi, he's been the third for like 10 years. I mean, he must think, how's my luck being born now? If it wasn't for them two, I would have been number one player in the world. But he's a phenomenal talent. So hopefully he keeps fit as well.
You didn't mention England, Warren. Where are England going in this tournament?
I've already told you with Lexi, 250 years. Harry Kane's picking it up. I'm going to be in Lexi's house, banging on the door. I'm quietly confident, where before I was overly confident with Gerrard, Lampard, last time with Southgate taking us to finals and semi-finals. The France game in Qatar was a major punch on the nose because we knew it was coming with Giroud. We didn't pick Giroud up. He scores. We're at the final. We miss a penalty and everything else. This team's going to be hard to beat. Hasn't got the flair. Very disciplined. Got an out-and-out goal scorer. I wouldn't be surprised if they did well, really well, and that means maybe semi-finals or to a final. But I think there's a long way to go before I start blowing my own trumpet saying they're going well. But I'm just going to sit there and just not say anything. Take the stick. Let Lexi say his bit. Stu Holden, Eric Ronaldo, Tony Miller. I'll take it all. But once we start chipping away, and that Union Jack and St George's flag starts coming out, then we're the Three Lions. Then be careful. Anything could happen.
Who are your players to watch, Warren, for this tournament? You mentioned Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar. Let's leave them to a side. Lamine Yamal, Kylian Mbappé. Outside of the big names that everyone's going to know, who's a real player that you think is going to have a really good tournament?
I think Morgan for England, a little bit of an unknown. I think he will be a player. I think Portugal's midfield. You can't hardly say an unknown Fernandes, but I just think Bruno Fernandes had such a good season at Manchester United. He may be the breakout player. We see it in Russia with Mbappé. He was the breakout player. Dembele, still a young player. I still think he's raw and not sure. Lamine if he's fit as well. Pedro. These are young players to make that being talented young players to then be that next superstar. Them type of players. I think England's got the best number 9. I think he's the one that could get the golden boot. Particularly with the squad, the teams we're playing against, we've got a good chance. No, nothing's a given. I mean, I'm stating the obvious with what I'm looking at there, but I do think there's enough quality that we know of because of the Champions League and the games that we've seen that these type of players to come through.
Couple more questions for you, Warren, before we depart, and I let you get back to preparing for the tournament. Every World Cup, there seems like there's a trend. 2002 was the Mohawk, right? Clint Mathis from America rocked it with a Mohawk. David Beckham had a Mohawk. Ronaldo was doing whatever he did with his hair, but that wasn't Cristiano. That was the Brazilian Ronaldo. My mom actually cut my hair like that because I wanted it, and it lasted for a day before I got laughed out of school, and it didn't work out too well. What's going to be the trend? Not necessarily fashion, but we've seen set pieces become big in the English game this season. What's going to be the trend that you think is going to define this World Cup? Is it going to be the water breaks or coaching breaks that come in, that essentially break the game up? That might be a big part. What's the big tactical thing we should be looking out for this World Cup that you think might really influence games?
On the theme of set pieces, but I think actual free kicks, direct free kicks are going to be a theme. I think we're going to see a lot of unbelievable free kicks because of the movement of the ball, because of the technique of the players. I think a big thing will be celebrations this year because of TikTok, because of social media. I think there's going to be a lot of individual celebrations. There's going to be a new range of celebrations, whether it's a dance move that we've seen now with Bruno Mars on social. There's going to be something to do with social media that's going to be a fad. So I'm going to go with like a dance or a celebration in that respect, where it's not just the Ronaldo. Someone will start doing something that will be a trend on social media, because that's what it's all about now. It's all about the hits and what they get. So I think that will be something like, I remember in '94, wasn't it, Romania? They all dyed their hair peroxide blonde. I remember that would have been a nightmare for someone trying to call a game where you've got them players. So I think direct free kicks, I think you're going to see some outrageous shots with the movement and the swerve of the ball and everything else. And then the celebrations that you're going to come up. So not necessarily corners or free kicks, but just direct ones from a distance. And I tell you what as well might be a thing, is coaches behaving themselves. There might be a few running up and down the touchline. We've seen that with Simeone, Arteta, we've seen it, Pep falling on his knees. There might be a few referees that get fed up, or the fourth official, and might get a few red cards. I hope not. They've got to behave themselves, but that could be one that they go with.
Fair enough. And Warren, I'm assuming that you have your celebration down for TikTok. You and Alexi going to do like a tandem dance or something?
Yeah, we're going to do the waltz. We're going to do the foxtrot, me and Lexi. Yeah, we're going to go into that. So that's wait and see. We've got Zlatan and Henri as backup just in case. So yeah, we're going to might even do the Bruno Mars one, the 4 of us all together. See if we can do that off.
I'm here for it. I need that video. I need it right now.
I bet
one
you
last
do.
question for you, Warren, before we let you go. You've played for England. You know what it's like to wear the 3 lines on your chest. You know what it's like to represent your country. I don't know that because I'm running a podcast because I'm not very good at football. What does it mean? What did it mean to you to put those 3 lines on, to play for your country? What are some of these players going to be feeling going into this kind of tournament, putting on the jersey and playing at this level? What's those emotions that ties into that? Make someone like me who's never done it understand what it's like for them when they pull that shirt on.
Yeah, two things come to mind. The first is just immense pride. I never stop looking at the 3 lines and just to feel it and to see it on my chest, because all the emotions, it's like your life flashes in front of you, of like when you're 6, 7 playing football over the park with my brother, and then maybe when you're 12 or 13 playing at a club like Arsenal or Watford, and then they tell you you're too small. Then you're playing at a district where you win the district championship, and that all these moments flash in front of you. And then you, like, obviously your parents, you think of them and all the people that have worn the shirt. So that's the one thing. That's the immense pride of having the 3 lions. and like a little bit like, wow, it's sort of like climbing Everest. Like you get to the top of it, it's like, wow, I've done it. I've done what I've set out to do. And then obviously you try and get more and more caps. When you actually walk out, and then you're actually at Wembley, and you hear the national anthem, and then you're playing, and you see 80,000 people, then it's like, oh my goodness, it gets heavy. It's like, oh my God, my legs feel like jelly. And then you try and go with your experience, but you still pick up the ball to take a throw, and you can see the three lines. It's just a surreal moment encapsulated in 90 minutes of playing football. So you have that immense pride and like relief, actually, like I've achieved something. I've achieved something that not a lot of people do. Like I've got my legacy cap in my house, and I'm number 1061. So there's only 1093 players that have ever played for England, and I'm one of them. So that gives me, and we've been playing football for nearly 200 years. So that's one of the achievements that you think, yeah, whether I made 6 caps or 60 caps, it doesn't matter. I was able to do that. And then the responsibility of representing your country. And that's what I found sometimes when you play for a big club, when the expectations are high, when you put a shirt on with the 3 lines of Bobby Moore, of Bobby Charlton, of David Beckham, of all these great players, that comes with a responsibility. And you just hope that you can live up to that responsibility to play at that level. So it can, as I said, it makes your body feel like jelly, because it's a heavy, the shirt feels like lead, like it's hanging you down, because it's that responsibility of what you're carrying, what you're doing. But yeah, it's a great feeling in the sense of what you're doing. And as I said, the first bit is like ecstasy. Then the other thing is like, wow, it comes with a responsibility. It's like having your first kid. Like, wow, I'm now a dad. So all the parties and everything else has gone out the window. Oh, it's not just me now. I've got this. So it's the same when you, as I said, when you put the 3 lines on. I can imagine if you put a Brazil shirt on, or any time, the US, whatever it is, there's a responsibility that comes with it. I'm proud to be English. I'm proud to play for my country. I'm proud if they do well. I get defensive when people have a go at them, because that's my country. Although I've loved it here, I'm 18 years of being in America, I'm an American citizen, and I respect this country and I love this country, but England's my home. That's why I'm going to have my Ashes done, but that hopefully in a few years. But yeah, hopefully that can put a little bit of a picture on what it is to play for your country.
Yeah, thank you for that, Warren. I really appreciate you sharing that. And, I can see your passion and your emotion coming through after all this. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Warren, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with you. I know it's a really busy time with you. I know you're going to go back and watch tape of the Cape Verde Islands and Curacao to get up. I'll be watching you on TV, and I'm going to go, hey, wait a minute, I know that guy. And I will give you a virtual wave from the other side of my television. Enjoy the month. Enjoy the festival of football that's going on. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us to preview this tournament.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Take care. And come on the Rams. Come on the Rams.